Hey, sixth grade. In this lesson, we are going to be working on converting decimals to percents and percents to decimals. So for your learning goal, that's pretty much it. I will convert decimals to percents and percents to decimals. Kind of sounds like we're going to be all over the place a little bit. So make sure you hit pause and you get all of that in your notes. So let's say I have 12% of something or another, but I need to convert that into a decimal. How on earth do I do that? Well, I just touched on it a little bit in our last video because all you have to do is move the decimal point over 2 places and you wind up with 12 hundredths. That's the exact same thing as 12%. And all you do is just move that decimal place over 2 points, or decimal point over 2 places to the left. What about something like 3% though? When you only have hundredths, there's nothing in the tenths place. What do? Well, you have to put forth a little more effort, but I promise it's not going to hurt you. You still have to move over 2 decimal places, but you put a 0. Whoa, that is a terrible looking 0. You put a 0 in the tenths place. So to show 3% as a decimal, you would just show it as 3 hundredths. What about something though like 125%? You got a whole bunch of bonus questions right on that test, so you got 125%. How would I show that as a decimal? You still do the same thing. You just move the decimal point over 2 spots to the left, so you wind up with 1 25 hundredths, just like that. So when you convert decimals to percents, you're basically going to do the opposite of what you just did. When you convert from decimals to percents, you move the decimal point over 2 spots to the right rather than the left. So let's say you have the decimal 37 hundredths. Well, all you do is move the decimal point over 2 spots to the right, and you wind up with 37%. Not super tricky, huh? But what do you do if you have a decimal that's just 4/10? Oh my gosh, what do you do? Well, you still move the decimal point over 2 spots, but you add a 0 in the hundredths place. So you have 40%. That's it. You do the same thing even if you have a decimal such as 7,381 10,000ths. Don't let those extra numbers there kind of freak you out, you guys. All you do is move the decimal point over 2 places, and you wind up with 73.81%. Not too tricky, huh? Okay, here's a couple for you to try it, or more than a couple. Here's a few for you to try in your notes. Do them on your own. You know I'll be looking for these when I check your notes in class. There you go. Make sure you get those in your notes. Okay, now what should you do if you have a fraction such as 4/5, and that thing needs to be converted to a decimal? What are we going to do with that? Well, we have to do the same thing that we did with ratios when we would scale up, when we would multiply the denominator and the numerator by the same number. That's what you're going to have to do to get fractions into decimals. So 5 times what equals 100? 20. Think nickels, guys. 20 nickels go into $1. So 20 times 4 is 80. So 80 over 100 also equals 80%, Or if we convert it into a decimal, 1, 2, we wind up with 0.8 or 8/10. We're going to do a couple more of these together, and then I'll have some for you to do in your notes for your homework. All right, we're going to try 3/10. I'm kind of making these ones easy on you guys to start. So we know that we have to change our denominator to 100. 10 times what equals 100? 10. So 10 times 3 equals 30. 3/10 is equal to 30/100ths, which also is equal to 30%. Or if you move the decimal point over 2 spots to the left, you wind up with 0 3/10. The next one we're going to do, though, it won't divide evenly into 100, so I want you guys to see what you do for that, just so you're ready when you see this kind of thing in your schoolwork. All right, let's try this one. 3/8. Oh my goodness, how do we get that 8 into 100? Because we know that 8 does not go equally or perfectly whatever into 100. So we're going to have to do a little bit of dividing. So let's see, here's 8. Okay, 100 divided by 8. So 8 goes into 10 once. Subtract, we have 2. Bring down that 0. 8 goes into 20 twice. So we subtract 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. Bring down the 0. 8 times 5 equals 40. So, forgot to put that up there. So 8 times 12.5 equals 100. So 8 goes into 100 12.5 times. Now we have to multiply 12.5 times 3. Let's do that down here. Whoa. If I put things on there in the right order. How about that? Okay. So we have 12.5 times 3. There's 15, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 3 times 1 is 3. Then we move the decimal spot over one place. That's it. So that would be 37.5 over 100, which also equals 37.5%. I'm running out of space. Or to turn it into a decimal, you still move the decimal point over 2 spots to the left, so you have 375 thousandths. Okay, here are a few problems for you guys to do in your notes, and after you get these done in your notes, then you're finished. So let's convert 33/100ths to a decimal and a percent. 7/8 needs to be converted to a decimal and a percent. You do the same thing with 1/2 and with 3/5. So make sure you get all of that in your notes, and I'll see you guys soon.